Welcome to Faithfulcrum, a podcast in which Scott and Mark have conversations about faith, spirit, creativity, meaning, and almost anything else. We don't always agree, so you don't have to either. But we do agree that a good conversation sometimes makes a great song. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
I'm actually doing pretty good, better than usual. I've got some progress. I may have mentioned I've had trouble with my knee. I think we did 12.
We talked
12
about
feet
that.
behind was the episode, I think. I've got my physical therapy, which I'm just doing from YouTube videos, is really impressively. It's a weird, dumb little exercises and stretches. Impressive results.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I
There's
feel
a lot of good stuff on YouTube, along with all the other stuff too.
That's right. I mean, it's like the whole internet. The internet. There's a lot of good stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Well, I think tonight, I think this episode is yours. If you've got some ideas of where to start, you can go ahead and move us into that.
Yeah. Well, I think this may have come from, if I'm looking for springboard from our previous talks, we talked last time a little bit about, in fact, really quite extensively about our youthful endeavors in the arts, and particularly the literary arts, and how much effort and work we put into what looks like, I would say, very chaotic and loose and maybe just, fun activities.
Yeah.
But that was real labor. And so maybe that's part of what I want to talk about, because I've just recently used an AI that is music oriented. I'm not trying to advertise for this. I'm not shilling for Suno, but it's Suno. I bought a pro license in order to get access to the tools I wanted, and so I had an experience I thought I would talk about, and then I'd like to just talk about an approach I've kind of visualized for how I might move forward with AI tools, creating the songs and music that I want to create.
Great. Yeah. Well, as you know, I've been using Suno for quite some time, and actually worked with it as it moved through a number of iterations from the first time I used it, and I was super impressed then, and now in fact, I was listening back to some of the things I made right at the beginning and thinking how much they have improved in just the short time I've been using it. But and I've been doing some thinking about that too. So I think that'll be a great discussion.
Okay, great. Well, I knew you were using Suno, and so I did actually. I'm talking about my first attempt here, but I actually did, just freebie. Went into Suno once. Just springboarding off of knowing that you were using it. And I plugged in just lyrics from Fats Waller, one of my real loves, and I said it's urban, it's black, it's strident. I said strident jazz, and it produced, I don't know, what is it, 2 or 3 versions of that, from just the lyrics and my one sentence prompt. And one of them struck me as being, I thought, almost as good as something I could do.
Oh yeah,
but it happened in seconds, and that's pretty impressive. Because I would, it would have taken me a week, maybe, or days.
Right.
Depends on how into it I was, how much time I had.
You got to mow your monoculture low. Dear Lord, you got to mow your monoculture low. Oh God, and over here we got the weeds, always reaching little leaves to the sun. And over here we got the seeds, the ones that don't get eaten, grow true. Everyone. And over here we got the weeds, and over here we got the seeds, and over here we got the leaves. Reaching. And over here we got the weeds. Here we have the seeds. Here we have the leaves for the sun. Got to mow your monoculture low, dear Lord. You got to mow your monoculture low, oh God. And here we got the weeds, and here we got the snow. Reaching out their leaves. Well, you get the idea.
Well, and time is an interesting thing because one of the things that we used to do, I know, was put ourselves in a very tight, impossibly tight time frame. We did a thing called 60-second poetry.
Yeah.
And so, but what's interesting about that is the value that I see in putting a strict time limit on something. It forces you out of the overly critical, overly analytical part of your brain to just kind of pop off some responses. But the downside, of course, is that for us humans, there are many things that simply can't be done in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And when you talk about music, all of the producing, all of the instrumentation, all of the mixing, all of the everything else, there's no way a human being could put all of that together as quickly as a tool like Suno does.
Yeah.
You got to mow your monoculture low, dear Lord. You got to mow your monoculture low, oh God. And over here we got the weeds, always reaching little leaves to the sun. And over here we got the seeds, the ones that don't get eaten, grow true. Everyone. And over here we got the weeds, and over here we got the seeds, and over here we got the leaves. Reaching. And over here we got the weeds, and we have the seeds, and we have the leaves for the sun. You got to mow your monoculture low, dear Lord. You got to mow your monoculture low, oh God. And here we got the weeds, and here we got the seeds, and here we got the leaves reaching.
Well, it's good that you bring up, it's funny, I was talking to a bartender. I I discuss a lot of things with bartenders.
Yeah.
Just this afternoon, and I mentioned I had a recording tonight, and I was gonna. I talked just briefly about 60-second poetry,
Yeah.
and that's a great. That'll help later. That's a great segue because now I remember you talking about, and it may have been a term you got from a poet you liked, but it was something
Mm.
about like taking off the top of your head.
Yeah, Donald Hall.
I thought it might be
Donald
done.
Hall, one of the modern poets, talked about that. I believe it was Donald Hall. Uh, it I'm trying to recall, I think he was really talking about, what he felt, good poetry did, um, rather than leading you, for him, rather than leading you into a thoughtful consideration of something, it would take the top of your head off and open it, expose it to whatever. And he did a lot of surprising, odd things, and I think that really impacted me. I came into contact with some of those poets, him, and a few others, in college, um, and I became very excited about that. I recall when I was doing my student teaching in a high school classroom, um, I I, I was fortunate in the sense that, this was unfortunate for my overseeing teacher, but
Yeah.
she had had an accident. Her son had been
Oh,
actually killed
oh
in a
yeah.
in a in a in a car accident,
I thought.
and
I'm sorry, I laughed. I thought your presentation was unfortunate for her.
my presentation might have been unfortunate for her, except she wasn't there.
Right.
Somehow, I don't know how this happened, but she had to be gone almost the entire semester.
Yeah. Tragic.
They had either me doing it without a supervisor, which was fortunate for me, and maybe unfortunate for me as well in other ways. But then occasionally we had a long-term sub who was sitting in there, and I told her, "You can just." She used to draw with colored pens. She was
Yeah.
very good, and I said, "You go ahead and do that. Just I got this." And but I would put up the modern poets on the screen, and I would do performances of them, and some of them were like
Oh,
shouting
wow.
and freaking out, and they were taking the top of your head off, and these students in at Monterey High School in Lubbock, Texas, were not used to that sort of
No,
thing, but
they were not. Yeah.
but they really loved it.
Sure. Of course they did.
It was like so far off the radar for them
Yeah.
that they thought, "Wow, I'm ready to come here every day."
Yeah.
And I don't think we covered much that was in the syllabus,
Yeah.
but we covered the modern poets.
That's great. Wow. I
Yeah, it was
wish
fun
I would
fun
have
for me.
loved to have sat in that class as a high school student.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So the taking the head off is more what poetry is supposed to do to the reader.
I
But
think so.
I
Well,
was thinking,
I think
yeah,
it's what he did as he was writing. That's how he
the
knew the
process.
poem he was coming out with was really working too. It took the
Yeah.
top of his head off.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, the process. Yeah. So I'm not really sure now where I am in my narrative here. So I
I
did
told a
a
big story there.
no, that's great. I'll tell you one in response. Actually, I was in college for a while before I realized. I mean, had been in college for a bit before I realized that like my encyclopedic knowledge of the Bible was like an actual advantage
Yeah, yeah,
academically. We were reading poetry or history, and there's
mhm,
always some connection I could make. I
yeah,
remember,
yeah.
um, I think it's, not E. E. Cummings. I think it's the Wasteland. That guy.
Yeah, yeah, T.S. Eliot.
I think it's T.S. Eliot says, "Who is the third always behind us or always with us? When I
Mm,
count, there are just the two of us, but then there's a third. You know." And
Mhm.
I said, this is actually um, from the story of Lot.
Yeah.
They, yeah, there are two angels or whatever, some kind of beings talking to Abraham. Lot
Yeah,
was it
yeah.
Abraham and Lot, and then
Well, it depends
suddenly,
on which one you're talking about. That the a couple of angels came to Lot when he was there
yeah,
in,
this is before they get to Lot. But they
okay.
come to Abraham first, and he does this whole thing where he like talks God down. Like, how
You're
many
right,
people would
right.
you have?
Yeah,
How many righteous people would you save? The city for?
yeah,
A
yeah.
great wheedling, dealing.
Mhm.
Kind of almost caricature, Jewish caricature. Um, but suddenly he's talking to God. There are two
Yeah,
people who come, and then he's talking to God. That's the third. And I don't know. My professors loved it. Suddenly, I just realized I had this huge, impactful knowledge on Western history, Western
yeah,
culture, that I had always thought it was kind of like embarrassingly, not important,
yeah.
weird. It took a while for me to appreciate what I'd been given in this.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit of a curse, I think, in the first college that you and I were at, given the fact that it was a very small Christian college, and we
Yeah,
went to required Bible classes,
yeah.
and I had a hard time, and I know you did too, because I think at least once or twice we were in the same class together. Had a hard time not arguing with the professor.
I don't
Um,
remember those classes at all.
Okay, well, that's good. My wife remembers me,
Arguing.
really offending the professor,
Oh, great.
and so, yeah, because
As a
yeah,
student and as a teacher, you're way
I
out of bounds.
yeah, I called him on something, and
Yeah,
yeah, he didn't like that, so
great. Beautiful. Okay, so anyway, uh, so, um, so I thought I would, in fact, it had to do with, on Earth Day, which is now,
yeah,
I don't know, this is a while back, when this comes out, but it's just a few days ago now,
right.
or a day ago. Um, a friend of mine who had passed was having people were having a celebration of his life. He lived for many years in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that's where this was.
Mhm,
I couldn't make it, and I would have loved to have been with all my friends, but I thought I would produce a song that I had written for uh, the house that he owned and lived in for many years.
mhm,
I call it the Rose Street House. It was on Rose Street and maybe 10th, I can't
mhm.
remember, in Lincoln, Nebraska. And they were in the newspaper once for their remarkable garden, which was just chock full of weeds. But it turns out they were native plants, prairie plants.
Yeah,
Um, there was, it was, it was like our early practice as writers. It was cultivated in a loose and permissive manner. But
right,
it
right.
wasn't, but yeah, certain people who lived there could go through and say, this is an edible plant, this is a medicinal plant,
Yeah, yeah,
these are native prairie plants,
yeah,
and so they were in the newspaper um, because this was, it was like considered an eyesore,
mhm,
and every few years the city would make them just mow it down.
yeah,
But there's a lot of talk in that part of the country about uh, fostering native plants and prairie grass and other things like
right,
that. And so it was. There's a lot of tension there. I
right,
don't know. I thought the neighborhood seemed to like having this house full of hippies and weirdos,
yeah.
but maybe they didn't. Anyways, maybe not everyone did.
It only takes 1 or 2 to
Yeah,
call the cops, you know?
yeah. So that's true. And so I had written a song for that house, and I guess it was before I went to Korea, so it was several, let's see, I guess I'm telling just how many years ago it was, 20, well, it was a long time ago. And I was at their house in between Mexico and Korea in my timeline.
Mhm, mhm.
And and I had bought a banjo, and I was trying to learn to write songs for the banjo, and I had written a song for the house. Let me just sing a little bit of it if I can, a cappella.
Okay. Great.
It, it, uh, it goes. You got to mow your monoculture low, dear Lord. You got to mow your monoculture low, oh God. But over here we have the weeds, always reaching little leaves to the sun.
You line us up by county roads, dear Lord, like paper dolls and worker clothes. Oh God, we used to lean in different ways, trade our shadows in the sun. Now you glide through in a silver tank, like you're the only one. You call it keeping order, you call it keeping clean. Every time you smooth us out, you bleach the living green. You don't like a crooked blade, dear Lord, by the spot the old dog stayed. Oh God, you say a field should look the same from the diner to the stars. So you iron out the edges, make us who you think we are. And the wind wears a stranger's voice, now singing low and out of key through a choir of quiet copies of what we used to be. You call it keeping order, you call it keeping clean. But every time you smooth us out, you bleach the living green. Now we shimmer all identical in your curated scene. Your field full of one idea is a manufactured dream.
I had played it for them. I don't know that it made much of an impact, but I had written it for the house, and I dug it up out of a recording off of a phone, and I had it's like I was just more documenting the song than trying to perform
Sure.
it.
Right.
And it kind of petered out lyrically at the end. I think I literally said, "Oh, you get the picture," at the end. And I thought, well, I could maybe re-record that for this, this celebration of life. And but just this is the end of the semester, and just things were piling up and piling up, and I just didn't have the 14 hours I could have just sat down and done it, but I don't remember the tuning on that banjo was what I was calling at the time, the Albuquerque tuning. Uh, I think there's a Kansas City tuning or something like
Okay.
that. And so I had just named the one I used, the Albuquerque tuning. And I don't even remember what that was. And I know I have a recording of it somewhere, just, telling myself what the tuning was, but I don't know where that is. Anyway, so just doing it would have been, starting over. Anyways, I thought, well, I want to get started with, I want to experiment
Yeah.
with AI making music, inspired largely by you.
Mhm.
Maybe you should talk for a minute.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm what I'm wondering about is
Yeah, yeah,
if you uploaded that. Did you take the audio file
yes,
and use it as a prompt? And so,
yes.
and did it get the lyrics that way too, or did you have to adjust them? Because sometimes, in a especially in a rough recording, it won't pick up exactly what the lyrics were, or it'll change a few of them.
I was
Did it?
amazed how closely it got the
Okay,
lyrics.
yeah.
I
That's
made
great.
1 or 2 minor changes, literally.
And then they've got some sliders on there now where you
Yes.
can adjust it to be more or less attentive to the recording, more or less attentive to your text prompt, and then more or less weird, which
That's
I
the
don't know
only one I
exactly
that
what that does, but
that's
it
the
it
only one I touched. I
the
I
weird,
I
yeah.
rotated the weird up to 91%.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that I think says experimental, when
Well,
you put it up that
I
high.
yeah, I rolled it up to that extent because I tried rolling it up like a quarter, a quarter turn or whatever,
Yeah,
and I didn't feel like it was very weird. I did notice
yeah.
that weirdness, what it really it changed one of the words in the lyrics,
Oh,
and
interesting.
then, and it syncopated some of the singing against the banjo playing was very, rhythmic, and that was in the
Yeah,
prompt. I just
right.
used the prompt. I used mostly the prompt it generated from
Oh,
the
sure, right, because it generates a prompt that's
yeah.
descriptive of what you've uploaded.
I did go
Right.
through and change it thought I was using a steel guitar. It's a particular
Oh,
kind of banjo, and maybe I can see that. But
mhm.
I changed every reference from guitar to banjo,
Okay.
I changed a couple of things. In the end, I added strong Southern accent, somewhat nasal delivery to the prompt.
Great,
But
great.
the weirdness at 91%, all I really noticed was it changed one word, I think,
Hmm,
and then it would syncopate the lyrics against the chunka chunka of the banjo,
mhm.
and it kept that in the prompt that it generated. It kept that the 4/4 time, very measured, so whatever the
Right.
description. So it went away from the prompt a bit, and it changed one word weirdly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
W well
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, yeah, here's what I'm interested in. Did you, um did you learn anything, and maybe this wasn't a good, super meaningful piece to begin with for you, or maybe it was. Did you get any different perspective? Was something different mirrored back to you that opened it up in any way for you to see that song that was obviously an older song, something you did a while back,
Yeah,
have some
something I never
distance
touched
from?
again. Yeah.
Yeah. Did it open it up in any different way, or give you a different sense of what it might be or what you might do with it?
I would say I really liked the syncopated vocals against the beat, but
Mhm.
the kind of thing I probably would have done anyway. The recording I gave it was, like I say, a document of the song, not a
Right.
performance of it, and that's the kind of thing I would have added in a performance. Yeah, to give myself
Okay.
more. I
Sure.
like it when I like when the vocals ping pong back and forth ahead and behind the beat.
Right. Yeah.
Some singers stay behind a beat. I call that walking on your heels. Sinatra does it.
Yeah.
I think Lady Day does that, but I like to anticipate and then uh, retard against the beat to come
Right.
ahead and behind.
Right.
Not all the time, but I just something I like. I think it adds a lot of energy to a song to surprise or whatever. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's the kind of thing I probably would have done. So I would say not much like revealed to me, but
Right.
I also tried to keep it. I saw, for instance, the prompt that it generated said things about the low, clean, plain production values, and I just kept all of that because that was
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted. I chose the instruments. I chose from the instruments that I would have used in recording.
Right.
I chose banjo and cello, and they're instruments that I do
Mhm.
play, um, and that I would have used in the recording if I had made it.
Mhm.
Um, and then, uh, but I will say, I mean, I ended up with like, it was generating two at a time versions of this, and of course now it should be made clear that the singing that it was generating is not my voice.
Right, right.
It took a prompt from it generated a prompt, some baritone, you know, and uh, and so it's not my voice, but I tried to keep the instrumentality, my instruments, the
Mhm.
instruments I might have played on it. Uh, I tried to keep everything something I might have done. And then I ended up with like two at a time. I think I ended up with like almost maybe eight total,
Yeah, yeah.
and really only one fit my only one really stood out. The last two were the best ones, and one of those, it did a weird, like, it hiccuped on the beat a bit in a way I didn't
Oh.
like. I realize now I could have edited it, but I'm just
Hmm.
this is a first for me.
Yeah. Let me ask this question. Did you, use the original audio as the prompt every time, or did you prompt, utilizing the audio that you had generated? Because, you can generate
No, I never did
audio
that.
and then
Yeah,
you can take that audio and you
yeah.
can use it as the prompt
That's interesting, yeah. I
to
hadn't thought of that.
cover it differently, and then you actually get into iterative changes that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. I can see
mutate.
that might be very exciting, and I might have ended up with, a song that was, opened up new
Mhm.
possibilities for me, but no, but the point is I don't really know what I can do yet. This is the first
Yeah.
time.
You line us up by county roads, dear Lord. Paper dolls and worker clothes. Oh God, we used to lean in different directions, trading shadows with the sun. Now you move through in a silver tank, as if only one. You call it order, you call it clean, but each time you smooth as flat, something green forgets how to mean. You don't like a crooked blade, dear Lord, or the place the old dog stayed. Oh God, you say a field should be the same from diner light to star. So you press out all the edges, make us what you are. And the wind now wears a stranger through a choir of almost us singing what we were. You call it order, you call it clean, but every smoothing thins the world until green is only seen. Now we shimmer inside your careful seam, a field of one idea isn't a field, it's a dream made machine.
was listening to something just today on NPR, I think, and it was just as I was driving, I just happened to catch it. They were talking about AI, and one of the things that the guy said, and this is true from a book that I recently read as well. He said, people are talking a lot about AI, but what you need to do is just use it. You need to use it. You're not going to be able to talk about it or understand what's going on if you're not using it.
Well, that's
And
true.
and I think that's really true. I feel like I was just at a conference. It was an educational conference. I was there to present, and I actually presented an AI tool that I've developed that for teachers to use. That's connected with a book my colleague and I wrote. But we had this interesting. It was a panel session, but what it was a panel between the audience and the audience. They collected questions from the audience, and then they posed those questions back to the audience, and so that was kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
people were worried about things that I understand them being worried about, but so much of it could have been solved if they knew even just a little bit about AI. Many of them were so fearful of it that they have just been running the other way. And their bottom line answer is that's junk, that's garbage, we got to get rid of that. We got to keep our students away from it. And not everyone. I don't want to paint it that way, but the folks who were asking the questions that really weren't good questions, it was clear that that's where they were coming from. And my concern, we had a conversation at my little table, and it was a really valid thing. This guy said, I am getting, I text with my mom. He was in his 50s maybe, so his mom's probably in her 70s or 80s. He said, I text with my mom, and she's recently discovered AI. And so I get these texts from her, and the information's fine, but it's just not my mom. It doesn't sound like my mom. And I miss that. And I understand that a lot. But there was then a conversation about the humanity, and you and I have talked about this, the humanity being sucked out of that. Anything that goes through AI, the humanity is sucked out of it. And I asked the question, and it was a little bit offensive, I think, to some of the people at the table. Is that because literally the thing that you read or the thing that you listened to felt devoid of humanity? Or was it because you knew the thing was somehow either AI generated or AI assisted, and therefore it automatically sounded dehumanized? And I know that we have a tendency to do that. You and I have talked already earlier about, putting a frame around something and calling it art makes us look at it differently.
Yeah.
Calling something a poem makes us read it differently.
Yeah.
Well, saying that something is AI generated
Yes.
makes us hear it differently.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to divide that out as far as what's being lost and what is simply being lost on the receiving end because I know it's AI.
When I teach a class, I teach a class in world building, and this semester, a couple of students presented some like backdrop of a world they were working on that it happened twice that I said, so is this generated by ChatGPT? And both times they admitted that it was. And I said, yeah, I'm just asking because I think I can tell ChatGPT from other AIs. It is a style that I recognize.
Mhm.
In fact, there's been an article just recently, I think it was big enough. I can't remember who, maybe it was, I don't remember if it was like Forbes.
I think I may have seen what you were talking about.
It's a style that goes, it's something like, you'll see this 1,000 times. Uh, it wasn't confusion, it was combustion. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it wasn't this, it was that, and it's kind of almost like, I wanna say, like, Southern Preacher, like, play on words or sounds, you know?
right,
And,
right.
yeah, and I can just, I just hear that and I go, "Oh, ChatGPT," you know?
Yeah,
I wanna say, I wanna put myself firmly in the camp of people who think that the most of the what is coming out of AI right now is, not good enough. I believe that.
mhm,
I can feel it, it's not, I'm with them. What I think though is that what they're hearing and what most of people are using, the way most people are using these tools is what I call prompt and paste. And that is the lowest level of use.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas you are cultivating custom GPTs, is that the terminology you would use?
Right, right.
And you're
I'm
feeding it thousands of pages of your,
specifically feeding its knowledge base.
yes,
Um, that was one of the things because there was one woman who talked about, and this is a legitimate concern. I don't want my students using ChatGPT because all of our histories were written by white men. It doesn't get the feminist perspective. And a lot of things that yeah, I understand that, but that's what you could say to textbooks.
yes.
That's certainly what you could say to ChatGPT if it's just drawing on the World Wide Web.
You could easily
But
say that to the what is it? The Encyclopedia Britannica.
right,
You know what I mean?
exactly. But
Yeah.
but if you're constructing a knowledge base and saying, I want you to work with this information. Now
Yeah.
it may have all of your biases in it, but
Yes.
but it's
But
it's
I want my biases.
I want my biases, not yours. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah. So anyways, so I wrote this, I had written the song. I used a recording of the song as the prompt, as you say. Uh, it sounded like my song. It sounded
mhm,
like I might perform it, just not my voice. And I would say the cello was a little bit fancier than I probably would have done. Uh, I posted it to a Facebook page that was this part of this celebration of life, and I said, um, "This is a song I wrote for the house. I played it for uh, this our dear friend, and his longtime companion." Uh,
mhm,
it totally makes them sound like a gay married couple, but they were just platonic
mhm.
male housemates
Yeah,
for decades.
yeah,
And I mean, I believe that's true. Uh,
yeah,
and uh, and and I said, but I took a recording from my phone and I ran it through this AI. And I said,
yeah,
anyone wondering whatever, what's happened to that, to that weirdo? I am now, I now teach computer science. So this
yeah,
is, this isn't so far from, where I'm at. And I believe, I don't know for sure because sometimes you post something and it seems to disappear and maybe you didn't hit send, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I
sure.
believe it was taken down within minutes.
Hmm,
Um, and I don't wanna blame anybody for that. I specifically mentioned the AI stuff because I didn't want anyone to be fooled,
right,
Uh, but, um, but I and I'm not, my feelings weren't hurt, but I thought it was kinda too bad because I just wanted to
yeah,
share, and I was sharing something. I mentioned this was my first attempt at this ever.
yeah,
Uh, um, I maybe could have made a better case for it, but point being, I'm thinking now about how I would like to go forward because I don't
yeah,
want to have some other voice filling in for my voice. That's not my
right.
idea.
Something hell just passed its name. You line us up by county roads, dear Lord. Paper dolls and work shirt skin. Oh God, we used to lean in different directions, trading shadows with like a crooked blade, dear Lord. Oh, the place the old dogs stay. Oh God, you say a field should hold still from diner light to star. So you press out all the edges, make us your shape. And the wind now wears a stranger through a choir of almost us, humming what we were. You call it order, you call it clean, but every smoothing thins the world until green is only seen. Now we shimmer all identical inside your careful scene. A field of one idea isn't a field, it's a dream-made machine.
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, I have a pretty nice voice, and
Yeah.
it's my only real instrument. People say, what do you play?" When they find out, I play.
Mhm.
I say, I play a wide variety of instruments, all about equally badly. Because
But you have a great singing voice. You do.
all I'm interested in is accompanying my real instrument, which is my voice,
Right.
and that's solid. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty solid. Yeah.
Well, I think the only thing you need to do is invest in some home recording stuff, and you obviously have some, but some stuff that you can do capture your vocals, because I have been utilizing Suno to either create background tracks or embellish my own
Yes.
instrumental tracks
Well, in fact,
with
yeah.
additional instrumentation or things like that, and then use my own vocals, and I've done that several times. I've done some other things where I used AI vocals as well,
Yeah.
but I feel different. I do feel differently about those than I feel about
Yes.
one that's got my voice in it.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't. Well, in fact, you did something like this. Kind of embellishing existing vocals and audio from
yeah,
our first season of
right.
Faithfulcrum, from first season of this podcast, and I was impressed by that. And if so, and in fact, that was fairly new. I think when you did that, that was
Mhm.
a fairly new advance by
Yeah, yeah,
so that was what convinced me. Hearing you did it at two levels of embellishment, and it struck me that the first level of embellishment, like I would call it, like slightly less embellished, struck me as very, very good.
mm,
And I thought about what I do, which is often from the original songs. If those, anyone interested can hear the original songs in the original episodes,
mhm,
but they were incredibly low res, a lo-fi, uh, well beyond or below what you might call bedroom studio. Um, and a little bit of embellishment made a huge difference.
yeah,
Another voice coming in, or another instrument coming in,
mhm,
and some other, just some effects. And
yeah.
I thought, so I could actually maybe use this because, so my idea is, okay, so, uh, I don't know, maybe it's time for you to talk for a minute.
Sure. Well, speaking of other voices, voices that are AI. One of the things that I've found, in it, and I found this originally with the way I've been recording in the past, old school. My voice is okay. Sometimes it really bothers me, and I recognize it probably bothers me more than it bothers a lot of other people.
Yes, I'm certain
Um,
of that. Yeah.
but it bothers me sometimes. But then what takes the edge off of that is when I stack vocals.
Yeah.
When I harmonize with myself,
Yeah.
or when Cheryl harmonizes with me, or someone
Yeah.
else harmonizes with me, and we stack
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
vocals, sounds much better. And so that's one thing that Suno can do. If I do a recording and I have just my lead vocal, I can dial up some nice harmonies, whether they're male harmonies or female harmonies, and it will follow my lead, um, which is really nice. And it's getting better and better at that. And
Yeah.
so
I bet. Yeah.
that's something that's very helpful. I think for for me anyway, to have my voice as the main voice, but then there's this nice harmony, that's, you know, some woman,
Yeah. Well, I would. Okay. So I have my preference is for, and I think it's you talk about how in harmony your voice blossoms. Well, most of your early training, all of your early training was
Yeah,
a cappella for the
right.
most part. I mean, vastly,
Yeah,
and in harmony and 4 part. But
right.
and maybe partly because of that, my preference is for extremely what I would call dry,
Yeah.
um, simple
Mhm,
arrangements. Uh, I like short pieces
mhm,
songs and pieces of music. I almost consider them gnomic, if you know what I mean.
mhm,
Gnomic verse or gnomic poetry, that kind of. I like abrupt endings.
mhm.
And so here's my thought. So I came up with this notion decades ago in the 80s, and I was pitching it to a friend, and I just have never tried it. And actually, no, I guess maybe now I should move this forward. I think it was actually only maybe like 10 or 12 years ago that I was talking to this friend. But maybe I think the notion had come to me in the 80s. Here's my thought. Okay. You're talking about taking the top of your head off, spontaneous creation, 60-second poetry. What I
Mhm.
like about those things is I think I think the term that Allen Ginsberg
Mm,
uh, called it composed on the tongue. His poems
yeah,
would sometimes just erupt out of him, and
yeah.
I think he very carefully preserved them in their original form. Kerouac, who was Jack Kerouac, who
Yeah.
was these guys were living in each other's pockets. They were influencing each other like crazy. The whole beat group, these,
Mhm.
the three big ones, and then a bunch of others. Um, Kerouac supposedly wrote on the road on a roll of paper,
Yeah, yeah.
without stopping, hopped up on bennies, and his the Subterraneans is just it kind of accelerates as it goes, and it's funny. He says, and then I came home and wrote this, and you get the feeling that that's exactly what he
Yeah,
ends there
yeah,
as he writes that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, composed on the tongue. So my idea is this. Okay, when I make a recording of a song, that I'm documenting the song, and there might be little flaws in the rhythm, or I might the keys might shift. I'm very good at staying on key, but sometimes I kind of let that drift
Yeah.
uh, intentionally. I would say it took me a long time to learn to do that. Uh, I used to say about Hallucination, my band.
Mhm.
Hallucination. The hardest thing I ever learned as a musician was how to repeat my mistakes.
Yeah.
because if you repeat the mistake, it's a motif.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
it's no longer a mistake, and that was incredibly difficult, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would have to say, I think I have a certain mastery of it,
Yeah.
and, so here's my idea. I make a recording of the song, and then that is the master tape,
Mhm.
but it's not good enough, obviously, right? So what I do is using that in my headphones or whatever, I re-record, for instance, starting with the vocals, because that's maybe what I would do.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
re-record the vocals. I keep as much of that shape and the flaws, but I mean, I
Right.
might invent new ones as I do that. But then
Sure.
I lay that down as that's my drum track. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I record in loops instruments to go with that. So
Yeah.
I might just be listening to that over and over again and recording bits, and then I can chop them up and put that in as the accompaniment.
Mhm.
And then and I might do that several times.
Right.
But it's only going to be, this is my aesthetic. It will be two instruments, or two and a tambourine, and
Right.
then and a tambourine and a jug. You know what I mean? It will be two
Mhm.
instruments and then a couple of other little things. And then I might go back in and re-record the vocals.
Yeah.
So I thought about that for years, and that's like the wrong way around. But I like the idea of preserving the quirks, some of the unusual,
Mhm.
the mistakes.
Mhm.
Um, and
Well,
then, but now I want to feed that into the machine.
yeah. I see. I think what you're I think what you're getting at is something that's really important with AI, and that is that um, you begin with the very, very human. And then at some point, anytime you're doing art, any kind of art, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you got to stop saying, "Oh, I can't do that." You got to say, "No, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. I'll do it." I'm starting with the human, and along the way, it's human to just do stuff with it, to dirty it up, to twist it around, to put it on its head, to whatever. And 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 then you have to be the one making the choice about what you're religiously attached to,
Yeah.
and maybe it's that particular quirk, that particular thing, and you want to hold that still. That's the thing that's going to stand still. But I'm going to turn everything else on its head around that, and I feel like that's how true creative work happens. At least it is for me.
Something just beyond a name. You line us up on rutted bends, dear Lord, like sackcloth dolls in work shirt cloth. Oh Lord, we used to lean this way and that, trading our shadows with the sun. Now you come rolling in a beat-up truck, like an ocean born in dust. You call it order, you call it clean, but every time you straighten us flat as a board, something wild gets loose from its own good meaning. You don't take kindly to a crooked blade, dear Lord, or the place the old hound laid. Oh Lord, you say a field ought to hold still from porch light to starshine. So you press down all the rough ground, make us your shape. And the wind now wears a stranger through a holler of near enough, humming what we was. You call it order, you call it clean, but every smoothing thins the world till green is only seen. inside your careful scene. A field of one notion ain't no field, it's a dream-made machine.
I want to tell you about a project I was just working on.
Okay.
That is similar, and it's coming. I've plagiarized you and our other guests all at once. Okay.
Yes.
So you know how I am. I like to grab a whole bunch of text and I like to shove it into something and make it happen. So I just earlier today I took every transcript from the second season, from the beginning up till
So far.
Up till our last. It doesn't have this one in it, but okay.
Yes, it wouldn't.
And I thought, here's what I want to do. My first idea was this: I want to put together a nonfiction book that's called "Creativity, Spirituality, and Artificial Intelligence." That sounds like a seller. That sounds like that's going to sell.
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe so.
So anyway, I took all of that, and ChatGPT has a thing called deep research. Okay, and it's the more academic. It'll dig deep and find stuff out. So I took all of these transcripts in text form, put them into one big long text thing, shoved it in there, and said, I want you to analyze this. I want you to find the themes. I want you to find how what's in there and how those themes are connected, and I want to make this nonfiction book that is titled. I gave it the title.
Yeah.
And so it did.
The title sets it in a kind of a framework.
Right.
It's a frame. It's a framing event. Yeah.
So it worked on it for literally about an hour, and then I got this nice document that was really analytical and even had some charts and things on it that it had, and that's a whole other thing. But I took that, and then I took the raw transcript, and I had created a customized GPT to be an assistant for nonfiction writing. And I said, okay. And I had trained it with a number of research articles that I had found. I said, learn this, learn this, learn this. So I took all of that and I put it in, and I said, here's what I want to do. Let's do it. And so I started working on it, and I would prompt it we went chapter to chapter, and I would prompt it, and it would put in stuff, and I'd say, no, take it more this direction, take it more that direction. No, this is not right. This is not right. So I got the whole 7-chapter book with an introduction. Then I said, I think I've been going about this the wrong way, because my audience, the people that are most scared about AI, are artists and writers.
Maybe
I
so.
want this to be something for artists and writers. So then I went over to my other customized GPT that I use for generating poetry, Modern Poetry Assistant. And I said, I want you, and I gave it a chapter at a time. I said, I want you to turn this into a big, longer form poem, which it did, and I didn't like it. And I said, nope, I want blank verse. In fact, I want Robert Frost, because I've trained it on the styles of several poets. I want Robert Frost style blank verse, okay, which it did. And I read through the whole thing, and I said, that's nice, but it's too archaic.
Yeah.
And so then I took each of those and I ran it through again, and I said, now what I want you to lean toward, I want you to keep that blank verse shape and size, but I want to lean toward a couple of other poets that I really like, Ted Kooser and William Stafford. And I said, I want like a mix of these two, and I want the same form. And so then it went through, and now I've got something that I'm still looking through it, but I think it's really something. It's like an extended book length poem that actually addresses creativity, spirituality, and AI, and how they connect and how they intersect, and it's based on all of these things that we've been talking about, and aimed at a specific audience that I feel needs to hear this. Now, I don't know exactly what my next step is going to be. I'll
Yeah.
probably work with it a little bit and see what's working and see what's not working, and et cetera. But I say all of that to say I absolutely love, I don't know if you want to call it layering or uh, reprocessing or
Yes.
sticking it
Yes.
in the blender or
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah. I can
and,
see
and
that.
seeing what comes out.
Yeah.
And I hear what you and I have talked about,
Yes.
but it is reframed, it is adjusted, and it is presented back to me in a fresh way that further extends my thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. Yeah. I want to say a couple of things here. You've mentioned, I think, twice now, that people have fear about AI, but I
Right.
think and artists and writers, but I think also they have outrage.
Sure.
There's
Yeah.
a sense that these large language models were trained on literally
Right.
every book in the world without asking permission, and also that corporate America is going to just replace
Yeah.
writers and artists with this tool.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's all just fear. I think it's hatred as well, but and
Mhm.
outrage.
Yeah.
I'm with the organization, the science fiction, it's not really Science Fiction Writers of America, but that's
Right.
the acronym. They're part of, and I get occasional updates about a class action lawsuit, and
Right.
so
Sure.
so, but
I understand all of that, and
yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm
I just
empathetic
want to
for
be
that.
fair about this. This is not just fear; it's outrage. It's moral outrage it's competitive hatred. Yeah,
Right. What I'm asking of it, and yes, I have trained it on the styles of Robert
yes, that's what
Frost
made me think of it.
and the
That was yes,
styles of William Stafford and the
yes.
styles of
I mean, William
Ted
Stafford's not
Kooser.
around to complain, but
Well, Ted Kooser is,
yes,
but
that's right.
he at least I think he is.
I think you're right.
But here's the thing, um, the information that I retrieved about them is, I mean, I didn't write it, but it's information that is there about the styles, the types of approaches that they're taking, the ways that they take a phrase and turn it, and these are things that poets who write are studying all the time.
Yes,
And they're reading. If you want to write like Ted Kooser, you read Ted Kooser. If you want to write like William Stafford, you read William Stafford. And I just, I'm not, I'm not stealing lines. I am learning, and I'm asking my assistant to learn approaches and
yeah,
to apply them to concepts that I'm providing. Now, if I plagiarized anyone, I plagiarized you and our other guests,
yes. You
which,
mentioned that. Yes,
yeah, right.
but yeah, I'm fine with it. As far as you're welcome to any. I just don't know that I want you to stick my name on it.
Oh, I
Uh,
wouldn't. Yeah.
but yeah, but you're welcome to everything I've ever said. There's a great bit in Alice. I think maybe it's the Looking Glass, where one of the queens, the Red Queen. I think so. Maybe it is Looking Glass.
Hmm.
The Red Queen, a chess queen, says, "I make you a gift of everything I've said so far," and she thinks, "What a queer kind of gift," you know.
That's
Uh,
great.
she has all these little aphorisms she thinks are worth repeating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a writer talking about people talking to him as a writer. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, here you can use that. You can use that. This is an idea for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he got that a lot. But
Well, you know,
and he
two
did.
episodes.
He used
Yeah.
it.
Two episodes back, we had a conversation that you brought up about people who say, "This is what I had to go through. You got to
Yes.
frickin' go through it too.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of that in this. And I understand that. I understand someone who is a fiction writer, let's
Yeah.
say, who clawed their way up from the bottom and did it the old-fashioned way and got all the rejection letters and
Well, this is
finally
exactly how I'm doing it.
yeah, I know. I understand that someone somehow finding a shortcut,
Yeah.
it would be infuriating.
The thing you're doing, though, is so much like writing. It's pro it's writing and rewriting and evaluating and making changes based on the evaluations. I mean,
Well,
it's
I hope it is. I
it's
hope it is.
you're churning through the material, but you are doing it at a rate that no human being could possibly, follow, yeah.
Right. Um,
I still say I will take on any AI in the world,
yeah.
as a writer. I was born with a hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord. That's what I say. But,
Yeah.
but anyways, so I will say, so my ideal in terms of this music, and that's what I'm looking at now. That's all I'm looking at. Um, I will embark on some coding, uh, some probably or possibly custom GPTs for
Yeah.
coding over the summer. I will spend a lot of time with that. But right now, creatively, I'm only looking at music, um, and what I want is something, like I say, I want something that sounds not just like me, but something that sounds like that includes my mistakes,
Yeah.
because that's my aesthetic. But
Yeah.
I just want the extra power that the AI affords me, of having
Right.
a kind of accentuates sounds, a kind of studio with instruments that I can't afford, things
Mhm.
like that. And I want to what I want is something that still is me, that still is simple, that's still human, that still contains flaws, my flaws, and
Yeah.
not anyone else's. And but I want to encrust it a bit
Yeah.
with the power of the powerful tools of AI. And
Well,
I think that is entirely reasonable.
yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any sense in which these songs, which are eh, quirky and unique to me, will become somehow dehumanized by this
Yeah.
process. I don't.
Upon furrowed ridges, dear Lord, like seraphic scarecrows in homespun livery. Oh Lord, you're wont to incline hither and yon, trafficking our shadows for the sun. Now you arrive in a battered truck, like an edict minted in dust. You call it order, you call it clean, but every time you render us level as legible, something wild goes unbound from its own fair meaning. You take no kindly to a crooked blade, or the place the old hound lay. Oh Lord, you say a field ought to hold its breath from porch lamb to starshine. So you press down all the then make us after your likeness. And the wind now wears a stranger through a holler of nearly so, murmuring what we were. You call it order, you call it clean, but every smoothing thins the world till green is only seen. Now we shimmer all alike within your scrupulous pageants. A field of one idea is no field at all. It's a dream reduced to mechanism.
You know, what I would encourage you to do, because based on what I know about you, is to do some just immediate live recording, sound making, rhythm making, vocalization,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And then once you have that as a sound prompt,
Yeah.
then consider that and make some sort of a very open text prompt and see what you get, and then go through multiple iterations of that to
I will.
build on it, because there are some other tools in there. They have the cover tool, which basically is, you know, do this song but do it in a totally different style. There's
Yeah.
the extend tool to
Yes, I
make it
know about that
longer.
one, yeah.
So all of those things, and do
Yeah,
some
that's
of
how
that.
to learn. That's how to learn, yes.
But especially if you're
different things.
starting with the sound, the live noise making,
Yeah.
whether it's a song or whether it's noise making.
Yeah, yeah.
I did a whole album that I'm really pleased with. It's kind of techno ambient.
Uh-huh.
That every song was started with me doing just vocalizations.
Yeah.
And
A kind
I
of beatboxing.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
interesting. Yeah, I tell you what, I wasn't really thinking I would go that route, but I do think at the moment I don't really have the time to spend on what I've been describing. At the moment, it will be a couple of weeks before I do.
right.
But I think over those next couple of weeks, I'll do exactly what you suggest as a way of. This is how I learned Photoshop. I mean, I
Right.
didn't take a lessons or anything. I just made a couple of hundred images. And I would say my approach to Photoshop is very idiosyncratic because of that. I learned, how to do things in my way, and
Mhm.
I'll do the same. That's a great piece
Yeah.
of advice. I'll take your advice,
Yeah.
and then I'll have a little library of sounds that I can use, in
Yeah.
the studio. I mean, because I know I get
Right.
a kind of virtual studio in this
Right.
with this service.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I'm also going to use software that I know that I'm interested in learning on my own devices to mix sounds, and now I'm going to go bouncing back and forth between.
Right. Right.
And I'm going to use. I taught a class in coding sound last semester, earlier this year, or I guess late last year, and I will. And I'm going to include generated sounds that I generate from pure
Oh,
code.
great.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that will give me a texture library that will maybe serve me well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. One of the things talking about sound libraries, and I know that this is another way that musicians make money, but it's also a way that musicians lose money. There's so many, and have been for a long time, and now they're becoming obsolete because of AI. But libraries of pre-recorded
Yes.
stuff
Yeah, you could
that
buy
people can
into it. Yeah,
use and bring into their own music and stuff
yeah.
like that. You pay a
What they
little
called,
bit for them.
royalty free or something, yeah.
Yeah, royalty free. You pay a little bit and you get them and stick them
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
There are so many different ways that people get around, uh, hiring a pricey studio musician to come in and
yes,
learn your song and play it
yes,
along with you.
yeah,
And I just wonder. I feel like the people who really make a lot of money on that are probably going to continue to make the money on that because at the top dollar level, they want that. But I'm just not sure. I think the rest of us down here at the bottom uh, have to kind of scrap around for what we can do. And if I can't play the French horn, and I really need one in there, and I can't afford to pay a French horn player,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So
Well, I don't expect anyone to ever like anything I'm doing, so I don't have any I really don't. I mean,
yeah, no,
uh,
I know.
with my fiction writing, I I'm very, um I have my own criteria, and I'm very true to those criteria,
Yeah,
but I did believe, and I do think it's been justified, that belief, that, I can get away with that by producing a kind of prose that people feel like they can trust. So,
right.
I feel like people will let you take them on a trip, that they're not maybe comfortable with in any other way, if at the very beginning you create a sense that you know what the hell you're doing,
Yeah,
just verbally, just with words.
no, I
And I
agree.
so I
You
I
build
just
that trust right at the beginning, and then they stay with it.
I've been following my own rules with writing from the beginning, and I have been very uncompromising.
Yeah,
But in that case, I do hope and expect to have some success. We'll see. I'm working on a novel now, and we'll see if
that's
that
great.
ever sells or, has any success when it
Yeah,
does.
yeah,
That'll be a test.
that's great. Well, Mark, this has been a fairly music centric
Yes.
episode. I'm interested to know maybe what sort of music we might make of it.
I thought maybe you would do now this is putting more work on you, but,
That's okay.
maybe you would generate a piece from this and then feed it back in through the process you described so that by the end,
Ah,
it's unrecognizable as the same piece.
okay.
Does that seem
Okay.
reasonable?
That seems reasonable. Let
It
me
might
get
take
just
you
a
a bit
little
longer to do that than normal, but
Let me get just a little more information from you
yeah.
on that. Do we want are you wanting a singular piece? Are you wanting multiple pieces?
You remember
Um,
when we first did this series, I'm stuck using the British term for season.
yeah.
You had a thing where you were doing one song in bits throughout.
Right, right,
I'm
right,
kind of
right.
describing something similar to that. Now you could. I mean, I'm not saying this is what I want, but you could take. I would give you a link to or a copy of the song I wrote that I described and sang a bit of,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we could play that, and then somewhere later down the line we play, and you wouldn't have to do them in order, but in order also would work. Then you play a version that has been processed further,
Oh,
so that by
maybe
the end we end up with a totally different song
what
with different
if
words.
yeah, what if that's a great idea. I love that idea. What if we begin with your song,
Yeah,
okay, exactly as it is,
the
and
the AI version.
the AI version, and then we see how much we can adjust it throughout.
Yeah,
By
exactly.
processing, beginning. Okay, let's do that. That sounds like
I'd like at the end not to recognize the beginning. You want the version from my phone, or you want, you know what I mean, or do you want the AI version, or what? I'll give you both.
Yeah. Why don't you give me both? Do you have the AI version as an MP3?
I think I can just.
You could just download that, send it to me so that I've got the files, and then I will use those to prompt things.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
All right. I'll send you both, and you can start from either one or the other, maybe, but not
all right.
both. It'd be nice to know where we started from and know how we got there.
Sure. Okay, I'll try to keep track of
but it fits the theme.
I'll try to keep track of the process so that maybe in another episode we'll talk about it.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I don't think you have to document it, but I think it'll serve as its own document, and it'll kind of document what you've described in writing, with writing.
Yeah.
Kind of reprocessing and readdressing.
Right. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Mark.
I'll send you those right away, Scott.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
If you'd like to hear more conversations like this one and hear a few more songs, just subscribe to Faithfulcrum on your favorite podcast platform, or go to faithfulcrum.com, where you'll find all of our first season episodes and every episode yet to come. This has been Faithfulcrum.